welcome to a glorious day here on the top range at Leeds Golf Centre. Spring may have finally sprung and we may be getting some actual weather where we can get back out on the course rather than being at the range. But for now, and today's video, we're just going to do a quick run through of what's in the bag, what clubs am I playing, how and why have I been using these clubs, and what does the future hold for my bag going forward. So let's jump into it and we'll start with the big stick. So about 2 years ago when I started getting back into golf, I wanted to look for a set of clubs that were reasonably priced but were good quality and could perform well. And so I chose the Callaway Rogues, the 2018 editions. They really didn't break the bank and they've been absolutely brilliant for me. So I got a set which consisted of the driver. This is 10.5 degree, set to standard loft and no bias towards draw or fade. And this has really helped. It's very forgiving, a nice big face, and to be honest, you can't really go wrong with something like this in the bag. Next, I went for 2 fairway woods. Now, I'd never played a 3-wood before, and I'd always played a 5-wood. In fact, in years gone by, I used to use a 5-wood instead of a driver because I could hit it almost as far, and it was a lot straighter, my dispersion was better. So I definitely needed a 5-wood. The set actually came with the 3-wood, and now it's an integral part of my bag. I don't think I could play without one, and they do serve very different purposes. So yeah, 3-wood and 5-wood both in the bag. The next club, as you'll know if you've watched any of our previous videos, was a little bit of a surprise. So this is the 4 Hybrid. Now I originally bought this because I was struggling with the gap between where my irons finished and my wood started. And I tried a 3-iron. I still have the 3-iron. It didn't play particularly well. My 4-iron I struggled with a little bit as well, but I hated this club just a few months back. I then went for a fitting for some new clubs, and we'll talk about that later. And a 4 Hybrid was actually recommended, so I already had one ready at home to put in the bag. That now sits in the bag. Highly recommend, really versatile. So especially if you're in the rough and sometimes you can't get your wood on it, or you're worried that you're not going to get the loft that you need, this club can really help. So next I then have 5-iron down to pitching wedge in the Rogues set. So this is 2018 Rogues. Again, really love these clubs. They come with nice grips. These are 95 gram true temper regular flex shafts, and just so forgiving. Again, even when I first started 2 years ago, like maybe many of you watching, I had quite a slice on most of my shots. I was coming over the top, leaving my club face open. Even in those conditions, these clubs still went a reasonably good distance without having to try and knock the spots off it, and very consistent. Even if it was playing with a slice, it was consistent. I would always be able to predict where my ball was going, and in golf, that's like 9/10 of it, right? If you know where the ball's going, whether it's going to hook or slice even, you can play for it, providing that the hole allows for it. So again, brilliant clubs. Didn't cost a lot. I believe I got these brand new on the internet for about £800, not including the woods and driver. They were separate, but for what they were, brand new. Didn't have them fitted. These are all off the shelf, standard lie, standard length, everything just standard, but they've served me really well. Then we get into the specialist part of my bag. So originally when I had the set, I actually had 4-iron through to sand wedge, and I later picked up from eBay an air wedge as well, which fits the gap between the pitching wedge and the sand wedge. Over time though, my short game's actually been one of my strengths. It's something that I actually keep going back to keying the right swing thoughts. It seems to be an area where even if I'm playing badly, I can get some consistency with. And so a few months back, I was fitted for specialist wedges. Now again, I went for Callaway. These are all Callaway jaws. So there's a 50 degree which replaced my A wedge. There's a 54 degree which replaced my sand wedge, and a 60 degree which was a lob wedge that I never had. The 60 degree is also the full toe version, which again is excellent. Just gives you more surface area of the face that you can play with. And these really are just so versatile. I love these for lots of different shots, whether you're trying to get the loft, or even sometimes I'm just off the green, I'll use my 54's little punchy, roll it along. And the amount of confidence I feel with these in my hands to try and haul out from lots of different places around the green is excellent. And so they've really been a key part of my game, and I'm really pleased I went with them. Now, they are not obviously cavity-backed clubs like the air wedge and the sand wedge, so I have lost a little bit of distance with them, but what I've lost in distance I've definitely gained in control, and that has created a little bit of a gap in my bag. So before, my air wedge would have probably gone about 100 to 110, my sand wedge was probably going about 90 to 100, and my 60 degree has always been 60, 75, that's fine. Now my 50 degree probably goes about 95 to 100. If I really step on it, I might be able to get 105 out of it. And my 54 goes about 80 to 85. But my pitching wedge can go anywhere between, I guess at the low end, 120 all the way up to kind of 130-ish if I really step on it. So there is a gap there. I'll be interested to see if we're able to fill that gap as I go through a fitting process, or what might be the solution to that. But they're the wedges. Finally, onto the putter. So this is an Odyssey Stroke Lab. It is a blade putter, single size, so it's not one of the double ones. The only slight tweak, I guess, is that it's got the jumbo grip on it. And again, I love this club. I really like the weight. I like a heavy putter head. And every putter that I've ever done well with is a heavy putter head. I like the bladed clubs rather than the millions of different shapes you can get now. So again, this is really at the minute irreplaceable for me. So if we do get new clubs in the next few weeks, the wedges and the putter are definitely staying in the bag. So they're the clubs. I guess the question is, how well do I hit them and how far do I hit them? Now, the way I've always had it in my mind prior to more recent times when I've been making swing changes and trying to increase club head speed and the compression I get on the ball, I always kind of had in my mind that my 7-iron went about 150 yards, and every club up and down was about 10 yards more or less. So an 8-iron would be 140, 9-iron 130, pitching wedge 120, and then 6-iron 160 and upwards. That's kind of been what I've looked at. Now, in more recent times, I have noticed that I've added 10 to 15 yards to some of those distances, and they were total, by the way. Now my flat carries with my 7 are kind of probably averaging, I reckon, about 155 to 160, and again kind of 10-ish yards either way, apart from the gap we've mentioned between the pitching wedge and the 50 degree. So that's kind of what I would expect to see from them. I'm going to hit a few shots, kind of just 5 to 10 with every club using the GC quad, and then I'll show a screenshot of all the data and what those kind of averages are looking like for the club. Let's get into hitting some balls and see what numbers we get. So a bit of a confession to start with, I didn't take my iPad to the range, so I couldn't hook it up to the GC quad, so I had to go back the next day and do the gapping on TrackMan, which is why this is in the TrackMan app. As far as the distances, it took me a little while to get warmed up. You'll see, especially at the bottom of there, my lob wedge, really, probably I should be getting about another 10 yards out of that. Sand wedge, about 85 to 90 is about right. Gap wedge, again, should be about 95 to 100. Pitching wedge, 120, I'm okay with that. It can go to 130-ish. 9-iron, 135, more than happy with that. Again, you can sometimes, I can get about 140 out of it potentially. 8-iron, about 150-ish. Again, I'm happy with that. Got warmed up then, my 7-iron really kicked in. That was flat carrying 155 to 160, carrying out, rolling out to about 170, which is fine. Then we get, which is obviously the problem area of my bag at the minute, which is my longer iron. So the 6-iron's only going the same as the 7-iron. The 5-iron's going to what my 6-iron should go. And so a little bit of an issue there that I am working on with my coach at the minute. And then we get to my 4 hybrid. That performed perfectly. So that was about 180, rolling out to 204. My 5 wood, I'm happy with at 218. My 3 wood, I would have expected to roll out a little bit further. That really should be getting close to the 230. Same with my driver. When I'm hitting that properly, it should be flat carrying about the 230 and rolling out maybe to the 240 It's downhill and down breeze, it can get to the 250 mark. But all in all, not too bad for those gaps. But I guess the key point is these have served me really well. These have taken me from a 30 plus handicapper down to where I am today at about 15. And I'm pretty certain I could shoot single figures with these clubs. I don't feel the need to change from that perspective. If I do change, it will be motivated by trying to future-proof it a little bit. So as an example, my club head speed has increased, and these are all standard flex shafts, and we're reaching the point now where stiff flex is probably going to be more appropriate and more consistent. Also, if we were to move to a different club, it might not be a cavity-backed club, it may be more of a player's iron, just to help with some of the other elements of my game and ball control that we're trying to work on with my coach. The things that really, when you're starting to look to try and get to single handicap, make a big difference to the game, and just the small percentage wins. So that's the idea, but certainly these clubs are no slouch, and I would highly recommend these kind of clubs to anybody. And even if you could get a brand new set of these now, bearing in mind with what 3 or 4 generations on for them, I'll bet you'd pick them up from a steal, even brand new ones or second-hand ones. But definitely, if you're thinking about getting into golf again, or you're just looking for a nicer set of clubs and you've used the same ones forever like I had before I got these, I'd used the same set of clubs my whole life, a Slazenger set of clubs that I'd bought like 20 years ago, and they'd always served me fine. These really are a good option to you, and anything similar from the other brands I'm sure would be the same. So there we go. I hope you've enjoyed that. It's certainly been interesting to see the data on my clubs and where they all go and where my games are at the minute and where those gaps are. And let me know down in the comments below what you like to see as distances from your irons and what handicap you are. I'd be interested to see the difference as handicap drops as to where distance plays a factor versus other elements of the course. As we mentioned, I'm currently going through fitting for some new clubs, and the idea isn't necessarily extra distance but more the ability to control the ball. Keep an eye out in the future weeks for those videos coming on the fitting process, and hopefully we'll have some new irons, fairway woods, hybrid and driver going in the bag for later on in the season. We'll also be doing some videos to see if the new technology in those clubs does help higher handicap players as well, by allowing some other members of the golfing force to try out whatever clubs I end up getting. So keep an eye out for that. Thanks for joining us. Please remember to like, subscribe, turn on the notification bell, leave comments down below telling us what you think of the videos, what content you'd like to see from us. We're still really trying to drive towards that 1,000 subscriber mark so that we can give away a free driver to one of you, any driver that you like. We're really keen to do that. We're really looking forward to it, but we need to get those subscriber numbers up. So please make sure you're subscribed, like this video, leave a comment below telling us that you're subscribed, and hopefully in the coming weeks we'll be able to pick one of our subscribers and give you a brand new driver of your choice to take out in the course, to test for yourself and see whether it can help bring your handicap down. Until then, see you on the next video.